Hey folks, Jason here with another quick music theory tip. This video is a response to a question from YouTube user @EclipseE9773. Their question was as follows: I just don't get the whole steps. Can you please do a lesson video on the whole steps? Sure. So let's break down what whole steps are. They are a type of interval, and an interval in music just refers to the distance between one note and another note. Some intervals are wider than others. So for example, this interval, C, all the way up to this much higher E, is a tenth. And a narrower interval might be this C to this G. So we have smaller or narrower intervals, like this fifth between C and G, and larger and wider intervals, like this tenth between C and E. You can hear the difference. Now, whole steps are one of the most commonly encountered intervals in music, and I think the best way to understand them is to visualize them on a keyboard. Regardless of what instrument you play, I think every musician should take time to at least learn the visual layout of a keyboard. And the reason for this is that everything is very linear and simply laid out on a piano. Out of all the instruments out there, it arguably has the simplest visual configuration for whoever's playing it. So to understand this, we have to think about the piano not from the way we would normally approach it, where we're facing it, like you can see with my hands, but rather from the side, where the lower notes are almost like lower rungs on a ladder, and the higher notes are like higher rungs or steps on a ladder. And when we think about each of these rungs as steps on the ladder, we begin to understand half steps and whole steps. So a half step is the smallest interval in music, at least Western music. You can't really get a narrower interval than a half step. And of course, there's other styles of music. If you look at traditional Indian music, Arabic music, so on and so forth, there are additional notes in between these two. But there's really nothing in between this rung of the ladder and this rung or step of the ladder. So we would call this a half step. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a white key or a black key. Whatever the next immediate note is, or the closest note is to the one you just played, is a half step above or below. So as an example, I'm going to start on this F note. If I were to go down a half step, the next closest key going down the ladder is going to be this E. So we'd say that E is a half step below F. In a similar fashion, if we're on F and we say, hey, what's a half step above F? Again, we're going this direction up the ladder. So this F sharp is a half step above F. Now, how does this factor into whole steps? It's pretty simple, actually. A whole step is just a half step plus a half step. Again, half step plus a half step. So regardless of where you are on this musical ladder, you can think about just going up 2 half steps. Let's take as an example the note D. Now this is on this rung or step of the ladder, and we want to go up a whole step from D. So all we have to do is go up 2 half steps. Here's the first one, and here's the second one. So we'd say that E is a whole step above D. Go up a half step, and another half step gives us a whole step. You can do the same thing in the opposite direction. Let's say I'm starting on E and I want to go down a whole step. Well, go down a half step, and then go down another half step. That gives us our whole step. So a whole step below the note E is D. It's really that simple. If folks have any questions or would like further clarification, please feel free to leave a comment below, or you can message me directly here on YouTube. Thanks so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.